Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Daily Detroit. It is Thursday, March 20th, 2025, sharing what to know and where to go in Southeast Michigan from our studio at Techtown. I'm Jer and across the table from me is none other than the Prince of Brightmoor, Norris Howard. How are you?
I'm back once again. You already know. Very excited about today's show. We got a lot to talk about.
First, we need to talk numbers.
Okay.
3 numbers, not your daily 3 and not your daily 4, but not your daily 3 lotto.
Okay.
We're getting a new area code, an overlay area code.
Oh,
679. Wasn't there a Fetty Wap song that's 679?
I don't know. I can't keep up with that stuff. All I know is what a scarlet letter for anybody who moves to Detroit in the next few years. It has to get a new phone number. You see one of those, you just instantly know either you fell off the wagon and had to get a new number, or you knew you ain't from around here, are you?
Are people going to be over on the west side on 6 Mile with long coats selling you 3 numbers?
Nah, but listen, all I know is that 313 is synonymous with Detroit. And listen, ultimately, all jokes aside, this is a good problem to have. We've run out of phone numbers, so either people have died and have relinquished those numbers, or more people are moving here, which ultimately is good.
313 number?
Absolutely.
As do I. I have an old East Side number. Actually was owned by my uncle, who was a window washer.
I've had the same phone number since the 9th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, getting a number from a member of your family, you get to learn secrets.
You do, because you get phone calls that are not meant for you.
No, for instance, of course, I get the occasional stray voicemail asking if I can wash some windows on the East Side. And, I do know how to wash a window. I worked with them for a few summers. I can make sure there are no streaks.
I dig it.
But I also get calls from his old weed man.
Okay,
and I did not know that.
Okay, that's funny. Okay, that's a good one. No, so strangely enough, I was in a rap group in high school. And
that's the most Detroit of things you could ever say.
Well, that was the 2000s versions of your garage band, basically. So we had a rap group, and at the end of one of our mixtapes, I had actually put my phone number in it, Mike Jones style. And it spread across some of the West Side high schools, some of the West Side DPS high schools. So I started getting random phone calls from people that was like, "Is this Norris?" I'm not gonna tell y'all my rap name from back then, but anyway, "Is this Norris?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." "Did you hear the tape?" They was like, "Yeah, man, I thought that was a lie. I didn't think it would really be you." And I was just like, "Yeah, it's me." They'd be like, "So where you at?" And I'm like, "I'm not giving out that information. Goodbye."
You were doing viral marketing before viral marketing really existed.
I know. It was actually kind of wild, the amount of people that actually called me. I only met up with one person once. It was a girl. So that was nice.
I've often wondered, could there be a QR code for your Hinge profile?
I think there is.
Just
Hinge.
drop it on, as our cover art one time. Just drop your cover. Just drop the QR code.
I love our listeners, but I'm not sure how many of them would be interested in seeing my Hinge profiles. I'm just being honest with y'all, but hey, we still appreciate all the listens.
So our dreams of owning the Rensen or a tower of the Rensen, 1 turned out a little bit more expensive, and 2 are not with us because we did not come up with more than $9 million for the top bid, according to Crane's Detroit Business, for the 21-story, 334,000 square foot tower off to the side of the Rensen. So no, we will not have this. The place was only 11% occupied. We could have done a lot with it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that this is the Tower 600, which is the furthest to the east, off to the side of the main 4 towers of the Rensen. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I still think under $10 million is a steal. That's a fire sale for a small skyscraper, as far as I'm concerned. And I think, unfortunately, it just goes to show you kind of the dire situation of the Rensen, right? We joked around talking about, let's raise $6 million for the Rensen and let's move it in and have dog parks and all that other stuff. And that was all in good fun. But I think also, taking a more serious lens here, $10 million for one of those towers is rough, bro. That's rough. Like on an international waterfront in the middle of a downtown of the biggest city of a state, and for less than 10 minutes. I mean, listen, Jer, there are reality stars that could have bought that tower at that price. There are people
Just not Mr. Beast.
no, but there are middling mixtape rappers that could have bought that tower for under $10 million. That's what I'm saying. It just feels so disappointing to me.
I think that I hope that there is a silver lining to this and that it's bought at low enough price so they can actually do something. The thing I don't want to see is it being sit there, mothballed speculation. If it's going to be at that price, I hope there's enough money on the top of it to turn it into something really useful, right? Like that's my hope always with these things.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's something that, if the owner, they're currently unnamed. We don't
As
we
of
don't-
recording, I
Yeah,
don't know
as
yet.
of recording, we don't know who made the winning bid. But I hope that they do something with it. Obviously, there's a ton of space, but as we illustrated on the show before, it's going to be difficult to turn it into anything else besides offices, and that goes for all the towers at the RenCen.
There was that recent report on the Detroit News about some of the materials very likely being asbestos laden,
Yep.
which can increase the cost like 20%. Bummer, to say the least.
Yeah. But, it just goes back to one of those things, it was built in the 70s, and that's how they built stuff in the 70s. So it's not too much we could do about that. But under $10 million, I think that's the headline here, man.
Let's switch gears. I want to talk about a story that I read in the Detroit Free Press that had a statistic within it I wanted to discuss. The title of the story is "For Wayne State Commuters, a Trip Downtown Promises Campus City Life." And, go read it. But there was a data point inside of it that I thought worth mentioning. I know you went to Wayne State. You actually
Yeah.
lived on campus
Sure
for
did.
a hot minute.
Yeah, sure did. My freshman year.
Okay. In this story, it says that fewer than 10% of Wayne State's 16,000 or so students live on campus. Now, I get it. Now, there have been improvements. Wayne State has built some new stuff. You can see it a few blocks from here. But making affordable student housing in some way, especially if the university had it, I think could be a huge win for the area. When you think about the huge impact that Wayne State has had, not just with their building investments, but the idea that just 1,600 or so people are living on campus. What if we brought that number up? I did a little bit of back of the math looking. Apparently, 30% of students at Western live on campus, 27% at the University of Michigan, 43% at Michigan State, and 41% at Central Michigan. Now, all those schools have different urban situations. But what if we could even get it to that lower end of 30% or get a third of those students? That, 3,000 more people?
Yeah, it would be almost 5,000 kids. Like that's just think about that.
Young
right?
adults.
Young adults. I say kids because I'm old. But I will say, you're talking about almost 5,000 college students that would be living on campus and revitalizing even more stuff around there. Because listen, I went to Wayne State around 2007, 2008. And Midtown was still like cash corridor at that point, right? It was not really fully invested in. And a lot of the students that were there at the same time as me, once we graduated, or some of us didn't graduate, but all of us pretty much stayed nearby. Many of us ended up staying in Midtown or going to Core City or Eastern Market and other places, and started really contributing to the culture of Midtown and Cash Corridor and all those other places, Woodbridge. And that was a vital part of how the quote unquote revitalization of Detroit began, is because you had this budding arts and intelligentsia culture that normally would have left because Wayne State was such a commuter school, but stayed because it was the recession. They couldn't go nowhere.
It's also good because people can get their feet wet for a few years and kind of get into the groove of what Detroit is, because there is something to that hard gear smash when you get somebody who's never been here before, doesn't understand how things go. When you're a student, you can kind of just figure stuff out like you're supposed to in your whole life. And then I think it also helps make the whole area more attractive for other people to come down. On social media, there's been a lot of talk recently about how if there's enough businesses downtown and all that other stuff. Maybe it's just my feed, but it's something I've seen that and then also listeners talk about. And I think there just needs to be a lot more growth. And this is a great way, I think, to do it. And especially if the university owned it, it was nonprofit or some combination thereof, because it has to be a situation where it's not about maximum profit.
No, and I think, again, if you're talking about an influx of that many people living either in one area or in one neighborhood, we're going to say, that could be a huge boon, right? Because some of those people are not going to leave. They're going to find jobs in the city, or they're going to find jobs nearby, or they're flat out just going to fall in love with the town itself and not want to leave, as many people do. And I think the more we can get people to live at Wayne State and participate in the culture of Midtown, participate in the culture of Detroit, catch the Q line downtown, go to the basketball games, go to the baseball games, be in the DIA, do all the stuff that we already have here, that's going to lead to more stuff. Because when you look at Ann Arbor and you look at East Lansing, and particularly I want to use Ann Arbor, and you look at the growth of that city over the past 50 or so years, yeah, Michigan is a major part of that. And a reason why a lot of those folks don't want to leave Ann Arbor is because so many people have made that such a budding community because they went to the school.
They meet their future spouse there. They want to stay, all those things. It's about making somebody's life story able to be pretty easy.
Yes.
And I love Detroit. I live in Detroit. I have for so many years. But you got to put the work in.
It's like that. It's like when you hear about people who go to schools like other sort of inner city universities, like your NYUs or your Columbias, right? Where people go to those schools and they are entrenched, immersed fully within the city, and they fall in love with the city. They meet people there, they have kids there, and then next thing you know, they just live in the village somewhere. Like, that is what we should be aspiring to be as Wayne State Warriors, and I think it's possible. So let's convince more people to live on campus.
Build stuff. We got
to build stuff. But I had an incredible experience living on campus as part of what made me fall in love with this area. And outside of a couple years, I've been here ever since.
Let's talk about something that's very passionate for people. Pizza. There's a new listing in our ongoing segment of very official statistics.
Sure.
From very official sources.
Sure.
Listwithclever.com has made a list of America's best pizza cities.
Okay.
Detroit is not number one.
Then it's a lie. The list is a lie. The list is a lie, flat out. Like, I'm sorry. You can't have 3 of the 5 largest pizza chains in America all be from here and not call this Pizza City. Shut up.
Number 1 surprised me. Rochester, New York.
Lie. It's a lie.
Philadelphia, number 2.
What?
Boston, number 3.
No. Get
Detroit,
out.
number 4.
Get out.
Now, Chicago, number 10. New York, number 8. Chicago, number 10.
I think it's a travesty. New York is not higher, but Chicago is in the perfect place. Bury Chicago as far as pizza goes. It's not pizza. It's casserole.
A big thing that hurt us was the number of pizza restaurants per 100,000 residents. So in the surveys, we did well, but apparently we've only got 6.8 restaurants per 100,000 residents.
How is that a
Whereas
metric?
in Rochester, New York, they have 25 restaurants.
How is that a metric?
For every, that was a huge, I was looking
So
at
is this just a metric of how the pizza saturation of certain cities, or is it what pizza is the best?
So there's a survey with the reputation ranking. There's a pizza passion score. These are very official statistics from very official people. There's pizza restaurants per 100,000 residents. There's your average Yelp rating.
Bro.
Okay. And Detroit's average Yelp rating is below 4 stars for our pizza joints. I think our chains hurt us there.
The chains do hurt.
They hurt us
They
there.
hurt us there.
Because if you were to take out the stuff where people are just yelling mad
because their order was late
or their credit card got ran wrong or something. Because
yeah.
like, here's the thing. If you really, I have my own criticisms over time of things, but if you're really upset about like a $6 or $7 hot and ready pizza, like you're making a very basic, like this is what it is. It's on the tin of what this is. when you're spending less than $10, it's hard to be disappointed.
No, this is food for function, not for taste.
The cost of an average large cheese pizza, the cost of an average large pepperoni pizza, and then the percentage of income spent on weekly pizza night.
Sure.
I don't know where they came up with these numbers.
That's a lot of metrics.
Somebody got very excited.
Listen,
I feel like they're also part of those like betting markets, that go online.
Did you say that somebody ran the numbers of this on FanDuel?
Yeah.
like with his Pizza City? Listen, like I said, man, for me, when you talk about the best pizza in the country, flat out it's Detroit. To me, New York a close second because you can eat that pizza on the go, and that's part of the culture.
I love that about New York.
Yeah.
I love that to-go pizza. One of the things I wish is that if a place like Supino had like the easy slice window where I could just fold it and walk away. I love Detroit style pizza, but look, that is lasagna. That is like a meal.
Yeah, but you talking about easy slice. That's why New York forever would be number 2 for me when it comes to pizza. Because the easy slice, you go there, you can get off the street, you can go to a restaurant, it don't matter. You are a couple blocks away for a slice of pizza, and that's always good. But in Detroit, flat out, square pizza, 100% best pizza. That's how you should make it. Word to Papa Romano's.
Our next topic is, we haven't covered this in a while.
Mm-mm.
Now, we're going to mostly focus on the development side of it. But, Detroit City FC is having a strong start to their season.
Yes.
They're in second place in the Eastern Conference, but there's 2 news items I wanted to highlight. One, from Crane's Detroit Business, is that the soccer club is looking to raise $10 million in private equity from investors. I will say, I didn't have enough to report it, but even back at like Mackinac, I had a feeling that these things were getting shopped around a little bit. $10 million from equity investors. That also ties with an important story. I think it's important to put these 2 stories together, that the United Soccer League, the USL, the league that DCFC plays in, has voted to adopt a promotion and relegation system that would bring it more in line with Europe and also do Division I soccer. So field soccer teams on the same professional level as MLS. And you love the sport of soccer.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Fletcher Sharp, the timing just didn't work out for this story, but you love and follow soccer as well. I think let's talk about the wider implications of both these things from a more city lens, more than just what's on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've reported on the development of the new stadium previously and in the past. And on this show, I said, listen, I think the trajectory is for this team to go to the MLS. This was before I was privy to the information about the direction that USL wanted to take with promotion and relegation, which is really sort of the North Star for most soccer fans. Like, that is the thing that we have craved as soccer fans for the United States, because if you don't know, the MLS is a closed system. It is franchised, just like the NBA, the NFL. You have to buy your way into it, and once you're in for life, pretty much. With promotion and relegation, it allows a more sort of competitive situation to happen. It allows teams to earn their way to the top, and the raising of the private equity would help Detroit City FC meet the criterias and help the rest of the league meet the criterias that they need to meet for U.S. soccer to bestow upon them a top flight league.
And I can understand why people at home might be confused, because there's U.S. soccer and U.S. So the USL can't just declare itself.
No, U.S. Soccer, which is the federation that arbitrates all of the rules and everything in the country. Each country has a soccer federation, and U.S. Soccer is what arbitrates it here. And they ultimately will say if the USL can be a top-tier league. You
need a certain number of teams that are in certain size markets. You need them to have stadiums of a certain size, which a lot of the USL will have trouble meeting.
Yes.
Currently. The idea is that this would end up getting deployed in the next few years, 2027, 2028 kind of thing. I think one of the reasons why we didn't talk about this as much earlier is that there has been so much talk about this for a while.
Well, and the vote just came down.
Right. And there's still a long way to go. Like, we're not there yet. But I think it's exciting. I think the idea, I'm all for more opportunities for Detroit, whatever that looks like.
Yes.
And I feel like hopefully this could be the kind of opportunity if they can pull the resources together and make this go. And, they're talking about the stadium. The brownfield credits were approved.
Yep.
That was something, because sometimes there's like a little delay, a little behind the scenes. We record this a little bit before you get it in the morning.
Yep.
So there's a delay sometimes.
Yep. But those credits were approved. And so that demolition should be moving forward according to that schedule. So this summer, the demolition of that hospital will be happening. And then by next year, we should get more details, or by the end of this year, should be getting more details on when construction of the new stadium should be beginning.
Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. A little housekeeping before we go. We've made a decision, Norris Howard.
A big one. It's a big decision.
I don't want to take things away from people, but actually, I'll be clear.
But you got to.
If you are a member on Patreon, patreon.com/Daily Detroit, you actually will not be losing anything.
Nah, you good.
Because we do our off the rails, off the record podcast. We do interviews ahead of time. We're going to do 4 days a week instead of 5. There's multiple reasons. We've had our survey out. By the way, check out our survey, dailydetroit.com/survey. Fill it out.
We'll be closing soon.
Yes, we'll be closing soon. But I think to make a better show, I don't want to overdo people's feeds. I think for a while, we're going to do 4 days a week. I don't think of this as stepping back. I feel like is kind of claiming a little bit of peace. We did 5 days a week during the pandemic.
Yeah, and people really ain't had much to do.
And this is something where we're trying to build this thing up. And I have a lot of things I got to do with this. Like, people don't understand, and I want to share this behind the scenes. There's so much more than just talking on these microphones. There's the prep for the show. There's the editing of the show. There's getting things together. If you're seeing video, there's somebody shooting the video.
Editing the video.
Getting all these things together. Plus, there's the financial side. We do not have a sugar daddy.
Podcasting don't pay.
Well, I mean, it does, thanks to our members at Patreon,
well,
but it doesn't. We have to go sing for our supper. There is
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, there is no George Soros for us. None whatsoever.
No. And listen, ultimately, if you want more, that is what the Patreon was for. As Jer said, there will still be content going to our members on Patreon of our sort of uncut, uncensored podcast where you can hear more of our unfettered thoughts.
Our Discord community chat.
Absolutely, of which we are always in there. By the way, I just want to give a special thanks to all of our Discord members because they're great. They're always sharing news stories of their own, sharing about things that they're seeing around the Metro Detroit area, talking about their favorite restaurants. So also, if you want to become more a part of the conversation as well, hit us up on Patreon and join that Discord as well.
And the real facts, we started the show doing it 4 days a week like the Daily Show. I don't feel that that's too little because, I mean, if it's good enough for the Jon Stewart crew, it's good enough for me. Or your late night shows, it's 4 days a week. It makes it changes our whole production where it's like, okay, we can actually breathe a little bit. And it's not like I'm going to stop working 55, 60 hours a week.
We forgot about one thing.
What did we forget about?
The newsletter.
That's right. On the website, dailydetroit.com. You can sign up for the newsletter. That's something that's been quite popular lately because we've been able to, I got a lot of good feedback with this. If we're going to still do mostly local stories, but even when we touch on a national story, it's all about local context. So instead of just taking the Associated Press wire or something from somewhere else, why does this matter to us here? Instead of just trying to fill up the feed with absolutely everything. As always, trying to do what we do best and then let others do the rest.
There you go.
Well, with that, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to our members on Patreon, patreon.com/dailydetroit. Norris Howard, Prince of Brightmoor, thank you so very much for everything.
Oh, I tried my best, man, and I'm here because I believe in the project, but most of all, I believe in Detroit.
I want to feel that in a heartfelt way, and then there's part of me that just wants to laugh.
I feel it. It's okay. It was corny.
With that, I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Norris Howard.
Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit.